Chances are you don't have a strong connection with your dad. You don't really believe in yourself. And now you are scouring hours on Reddit, asking your questions like how to be more confident, how I deal with this type of emotion. And now you are relying on the internet to tell you who you are.
And no one believe in me.
Whenever I get mad at the state of the world, I just take my shirt off.
Your own self-hatred onto people who look like you.
No dating Asians sort of policy. You kind of look a bit like my brother.
I just got to a point where I did enough psychedelics to kind of realize, like, am I happy?
Just when you meet adults and they behave a certain way, you realize that everything happens in patterns. What that means is if someone has done something once before, chances are they have done it before in the past. And the more you track it down, it all starts with how they were raised at home.
And I remember we were eating and I was like, I'm gonna drop out of college, move to New York. I had nothing lined up. I didn't know anything. I was Googling how do you become an actor and they were like, you gotta be in New York or LA. And I just remember the way my dad like put his spoon down and the way he kind of sat back. It was like this resignation of like, God damn it. Like.
So if you grew up anything like me, immigrant, war-torn, offspring immigrant kids, where you really weren't taught things like emotions, confidence. It was more like, shut the hell up, I'm gonna beat you. You don't have any word, you cannot say anything to me, and you just stay silent.
Asian parents, maybe that's what it is.
I think that a lot of Latino families probably, or I know a lot of like Latinos who have like similar experiences.
But you know what Steve did?
He fought back.
No, he called social services.
Can't do that.
For you or for himself?
For us.
Now you take that same philosophy and apply that to an 8-year-old kid. How does he start to develop a sense of self when a lot of his childhood or her childhood was told to essentially shut up?
Something dark happens. You know, we weren't a family that kept things a secret. Don't ever talk about it. I let the world know. I think that helped me deal with the dark shit. You know, the pain of like my dad beating me.
They want that model minority figure, that sort of American Canadian dream where we work so hard for you, now you have to obey us and we will choose your partner, your career, and have little puppet strings to your own life, which is where you get the stereotypical lawyer, engineer, pharmacist, doctor. And the most part is that a lot of these kids follow suit because when you were a kid, who else do you listen to but your mom and dad?
Dad has like 5 masters, he's PhD, and he's very, education is key to him, and that's how he, supported his whole family.
Because they only know what they know, and they are passing down what they know onto you. So before you even develop a sense of your own voice, you yourself already have a secondary voice. Now let's jump into adolescence, where you are in this stage of finding a mate. Your hormones are kicking, and now you want to find a girlfriend or boyfriend. Come here. And the cycle kind of repeats, but you're a little older and a little bit pimply. And then you start wanting to meet people because you as a kid, as a teenager, want to attract the opposite sex. Not only is based on biology, but based on your emotional needs where you want a girlfriend or boyfriend to start with. But being an Asian male, you go out and you realize, I'm on all these dating apps. Or before the dating app age, I'm like, does that white girl like me? Growing up in this mentality, I was like, hey, only Asian girls will like me because that's who I hung out around and that's who I talked to. Even though in my mind, I'm like, man, that girl over there, she's pretty hot. I wonder if she's into Asian guys. But I'm like, where did that even stem from?
See? You're talking to a white girl right now.
I know, right? I'm so scared. I'm like nervous,
Really?
super nervous and awkward. Can't you tell?
No.
But I'll talk about that a little bit later.
No dating Asians sort of policy. You kind of look a bit like my brother.
So as an Asian guy, you start going out, you start dating, you start going through the phase of putting yourself out there. You maybe are in the likelihood of being in the stages of online dating apps where you realize, hey, I'm an Asian guy. Let's swipe through these apps and have the little excitement of meeting people. You swipe, and then you realize, only 4 matches in the time span of 6 months. Whereas our counterpart, the Asian girl, one day swipes a couple times. Hey, look, you have 100 new matches.
47 matches.
What? Popping. 4 matches.
And then you put your fingers back at yourself and like, because I'm not adequate enough, I need to do things more to make myself seem more appealing to the dating market.
And all these things, women in general like those traits.
Yeah.
It's not the race that they date, it's the individual that they date.
To whoever is out there. So you jump down the rabbit hole of self-help and self-improvement.
All these requirements. For me to feel at peace and awesome, this needs to happen, 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 and this does not 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 happen. Massive attachment, massive resistance.
You learn how to pick up girls. You learn the real social dynamics. You learn that you have to be a high status person. You need to accumulate and be successful and be this entrepreneur. You need to be more than who you already are right now, because who are you right now is not enough to find someone to say yes to you.
Only someone who is not confident is trying to be confident. Confident people don't try to be confident. If you're trying to be confident, you're telling yourself, I'm not confident. That's the belief you're reinforcing. That's the assumption you're reinforcing.
So with the same mindset, you go into your career needing to be like, I need to be someone. I need to make millions of dollars. I need to have a successful business. I need to work at a law firm, at an accounting firm. I need to be a successful doctor that makes millions of dollars. Only then will I get the approval of my parents. Only then will someone date and want to be with me. You see how things are starting to get connected here?
Including self-help is more barriers to hate yourself. And you'll see people go down that rabbit hole. It's like, well, now I need to let go. And then you get into even say trauma healing. Now I need to do this thing, and now I need to do this practice. And then I also learned about this practice.
And then the little piece de la resistance with the cherry on top is the pedestaling and Western media. Because now with social media and the new age of having shows like Beef, having shows like Crazy Rich Asians, having an all Asian cast was unheard of, where you never really saw any sort of romantic figures of Asian guys, right? Until you have Simu Liu.
As an Asian man, but some of these stereotypes, see, but the fact that there's even laughter now, some of these stereotypes are absolutely and totally untrue.
Yes.
And it's just been put, and imagine being a kid growing up, and first of all, having none of the girls want to date you, and hearing more than anything that people are just not into Asian guys.
With ever perpetuating stereotypes, how Asian guys in Western culture and media is seen as, unattractive, seen as undesirable. But only now, the script is being unwritten, realizing that, wait, for the longest time, there was a lot of internalized racism. There was a lot of terms of self-hatred in terms of being Asian and hiding your Asianness. But now you can actually embrace it wholeheartedly.
I love my food. I need white people lunch.
So let's say you're a guy, right? You feel like at the teenage puberty years, you need to work out, especially if you're short, because no one's gonna date you. So you realize, hey, I need to get buff, man. I need to get jacked. And then you grow up a little bit. You're 19, 20, 23. I'm like, okay, now I need status. I can't be a brokey out here. I cannot be poor. So you start worrying and obsessing about money and getting your finances.
Need this juxtaposition. There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six-pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree, but it's hard, it's hard. Of course it is, it's supposed to be. And if you're not cut out for it, then fuck off and live a normal existence and die.
And maybe you're lucky, maybe you're not. And you have the next 10, 20 years of just focusing on those things.
Why you're fucking poor.
And lo and behold, something might happen to you where it goes all back to zero. And then you feel so lost and empty, constantly chasing other external pieces of who you think you are. But if you trace that back, it all came from your parents. It all came from a place where you never felt good enough because no one told you that you were always enough, which is why it becomes this perpetuating cycle of constantly, hey, I need to go into self-improvement. Hey, I need to be better. Hey, I need to do something so someone will approve of me. Even the most famous of people that come from Asian backgrounds, even in the digital space, the more money you make, the more successful you are, it's mutually exclusive from your own fulfillment and happiness. And if anything, the more money you make and the more you don't do this kind of self-reflection, it just gets more and more of a harder shell that you can't penetrate, and you feel more depressed, more sad than ever, because you put so much of your worth and yourself into a dollar amount, a career, life achievements.
You know, when I hit 1 million subs, like almost immediately I felt like this like emptiness and not having something to strive for, because that was the goal for so long.
Yeah. After achievements, oftentimes is followed by a little bit of sadness or depression. Yeah.
And how do I know all of this? Am I bashing my fellow Asian brothers and sisters? Do I put myself on a pedestal and think, hey guys, I know the way. I know the answer. I know to lead the way because I am above and beyond that? Hell no. I am just talking about myself. And I can see myself in all these other Asian brothers and sisters who are also going through it, because this is the first Asian American, Asian Canadian thing where if you aren't careful, you will constantly live a life of feeling empty, feeling like not enough, because you never got that chance to feel that out. Maybe it comes from a place of privilege, you know? Hey, I don't have to work so hard because my parents paved the way, right? They sacrificed so much, so now I'm in this space. So you feel you feel so much guilt to go to that space. But I'm saying that, hey man, we are living in a different age now. Our parents built us for a generation that doesn't exist anymore. With the world of social media, this ever-changing world, it's very different times now. And we need to cultivate a different mindset so we can succeed for the next generation. You know what I mean?